Okay. Good afternoon. I want to keep my voice loud so that you won't fall asleep. This is afternoon time, so I guess you get a little sleepy. So I want to encourage you to focus and hope my speech will help to keep you awake. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, I'm very honored to be here with you at the Smart Nation 2024. It's really great to be in KL, the city that shines as a beacon of the economic dynamism in Southeast Asia. My career is quite interesting. I spent over 25 years of my career in the high-tech area. First with Intel, then with Apple, then NVIDIA as their global vice president. I currently lead a Chinese multinational B2B service platform, TOJOY. Throughout my career, I have seen first-handedly how digital transformation can shape economics and the societies. So the themes of this conference really resonate with me very well. As a matter of fact, I have had the privilege to visit Malaysia many times. This is a very dynamic country, and the beautiful city, Penang, holds a special place in my heart. Back in, when I was with Intel, I helped lead many investment and operation for the Intel Malaysia assembly and the testing facilities there. Putting my personal feeling aside, I also see Malaysia as a country with tremendous potential. Just starting with the basics, Malaysia's linguistic diversity connects it to 3.8 billion people worldwide. People here speak Chinese, speak English better than my Chinese and English, as well as Hindi and Malay, which I know nothing about. So this means that your country is naturally linked to about half of the world's population. Thanks truly to your impressive incentives and programs, and Malaysia comes to a big advantage for international cooperation. Now, coming from China, I know for a fact that Chinese companies find a high degree of culture and the language connection when entering Malaysia. Use TikTok as an example. It's attracted nearly 30 million users aged 18 and above here in Malaysia, make it the most popular social media in this country. In Malaysia, entrepreneurs and businesses from China can navigate freely and feel at home. I get the same feeling whenever I visit Malaysia. Beyond the cultural advantages, Malaysia's strategic location and world-class ports make it a powerhouse for international trade. On top of that, Malaysia's government has rolled out various world-class incentives and programs to attract foreign investments and tourists. Apparently, it has streamlined the processes for high-tech growth sectors such as digital technology and green energy. More impressively, Malaysia is recognized as one of the top 10 most investment competitive emerging market for 2024. With these unique strengths, Malaysia is not just a great place to do business, it's also a vital bridge between Southeast Asia and the rest of the world. Thanks to these strengths, Malaysia has already become a prime destination for Chinese businesses. And particularly recently, I have seen unparalleled enthusiasm from Chinese business community. With these unique strengths, it also becomes a vital bridge for Southeast Asia and the rest of the world. Looking back, there are already so many great accomplishments of such activities between China and Malaysia, and they are also very inspiring and promising. For example, in as early as 2017, China and Malaysia started to work together in the EV sector. China's Geely and Malaysia's national car brand Proton established partnership to launch new vehicle models here. Following that, the success cooperation brings a lot of EV makers from China to here, such as BYD, Chang'an, the Great Wall Motors. They all set up factories or launch new models here. Emerging companies like Neta and Xiaopeng, Xpeng also followed suit with plans to either build local facilities here or set up their operations here. In the last couple of years, an even stronger relationship between China and Malaysia has been propelled by Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim's clear direction. In his recent visit to China, he pointed out that it is important with both countries promote a balanced and multipolar world order to foster inclusive economic growth, economic globalization. I know that Prime Minister Anwar has just came back from his visit to China for his meeting with President Xi and also attending the 7th China International Import Expo. At the opening ceremony, the minister quoted an old Chinese saying, 前人栽树，后人乘凉. In English, one generation plants trees and the later generation enjoy the shade. I believe this represents his vision for long-term cooperative growth between China and Malaysia, and of course, the global community. And allow me here to also echo the Prime Minister's message with a Malaysian proverb. Buki sama didaki, lora sama ditoloni. Is that the right speech? Okay, right pronunciation. Together we climb the hill, together we descend into the valley. The collaboration between China and Malaysia is a perfect case of how complementary strengths can create transformative outcomes. Adding one more old saying from Asia I like the most here. The roses in her hand and the flavor in mine. This is exactly why we are here at this expo, to create connection, to spark innovation, and also shape a smarter and more sustainable tomorrow, together with Malaysia, Southeast Asia, and beyond. But indeed, China's strength and the vast market will help make it an ideal business partner. In the recent decade, China boasts one of the world's largest consumer markets. China contributed around 30% to economic growth almost every year in the last decade. This massive market offers significant opportunities for businesses across the world, across the sectors as well. From consumer goods to computing chips, you name it. More importantly, the rising of China's new generation also presents new opportunities. These days, when choosing their travel destinations, young Chinese travelers prefer Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, etc. Many say they are attracted by this region's rich cultural heritage and the vibrant experiences. As I must add here, the visa-free travel agreement and other incentives have proven to be very effective. Booking to the countries here in the region surged by over 15 times for major holidays in the past year. The connections really go beyond the tourism. They can transform into potential business opportunities and collaborations. Furthermore, new business models develop and mature quickly in China. Technologies and the solutions developed in China are not only innovative, but also practical and ready for deployment in this region and benefit the users as well. Take TikTok again as an example. TikTok has created huge sensations in Southeast Asia. Last month, at a forum in Beijing, Chairman of Malaysia's Cross-Border E-Commerce Association, Fook Kee Chen, emphasized that Malaysia is a top destination for Chinese companies expanding their digital business overseas. In recent years, the Internet Society of China has also organized multiple delegations to explore markets here as their first stop, actually. I even heard a story that some companies signed cooperative agreements with Malaysia's high-tech industry parks on the first day of their visit. We are also very glad to see that many Chinese successful franchise models have found rapid growth here. In just about 2 years, Lanzhou La Mian, which is called hand-pulled Lanzhou noodles, opened 150 stores in the country. And the Mixue Bingcheng, Mixue ice cream and tea, launched 300 outlets across the country alone. As said, this time I'm traveling to Malaysia with the leaders of 8 innovative businesses, along with a few traditional Chinese business owners, very successful business owners in China, and they are the investors from TOJOY platform. Big thanks, of course, to our local partner, CBA Group, for supporting all of these. Our projects cover areas like entertainment, residential drinking water treatment, automotive cleaning robots, AI health examination, AI-based tailored clothing making, Chinese health and wellness therapy, biopharmaceuticals, and AI-driven education. Each project brings a very unique, forward-looking, or even revolutionary business solution that I'm confident will inspire you. We are also organizing an executive briefing this afternoon in our hotel, Westin. I look forward to meeting you this afternoon in our venue. On this trip, I also got a lot of questions about China's recent comprehensive and unprecedented stimulus package. And the question I got the most is this: what this means to our business here. I would say it means a lot. The comprehensive package targets 2 key areas. One is to increase domestic consumption. The second is to reduce debt. and I see strong connections and opportunities for consumption exportation from this region to China. A wide range of local products like food, lifestyle, services will find their excellent markets in China. ASEAN countries, being so close to China, are in the prime position to tap into the growth and bourgeois Chinese consumer market. So my key message is very clear to our audience here. China is an investor. China is a large consumer. It is time to embrace the even closer, more tightly. Okay, up till now, I've spent some time talking about the opportunities and the benefits and the importance of building our relationships between China and the ASEAN countries, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, you name them. Now let me shift my gear a little bit to talk about the question of how the entities from two regions and the business people can work together to win the future. From my 35 years of cross-cultural business operations, I believe the most important element for success is that we recognize the nuances of our respective cultures and learn to respect each other and work with each other. Many Chinese experts sitting here know this very well. Over the long history, the philosophers in China, mainly Confucius and his followers, have long conducted explorations in politics, economy, military, culture, and education. In the center of such practices, Confucianism regards harmony as the most valuable. In my personal view, this harmony approach is indeed the most important principle for today's global and regional business cooperation. Harmony means that you have to be in, with, and for the locals. What do I mean by in, with, and for the locals? Let me use my personal experience to tell. About 30 years ago, I was working for Intel. Intel's Asia Pacific headquarters was in Hong Kong, while I was in the US. When the computer industry began shifting towards China, I convinced Intel's leadership to let me return back to Asia. Although Intel saw challenges with China's incomplete semiconductor supply chain and weak IP protection at the time, I pushed hard for semiconductor supply chain to move to mainland China, and of course, Intel should lead. And I proposed to set up local operations in Shanghai. There was, of course, very much resistance from the management, especially given how conservative Silicon Valley was when we talk about moving our key assets into an unknown territory, China, at the time. I still recommended setting up R&D centers in Shanghai, Beijing, and Shenzhen. My boss questioned the approach, and everyone advised me to think about the risks. But I stood my ground because I'm confident in the benefits of being in locals. In the end, Intel set up multi-billion facilities in China, including assembly test facilities in Chengdu and Shanghai, and a chip manufacturing facility in Dalian. These local efforts helped boost Intel's revenue from millions to billions, making it the top foreign investor in China, and also leading the explosive growth of China's IT industry. I think this approach also applies to Chinese companies looking to enter into this region. Now with locals. It is about establishing good understanding, relations, and trust with government authorities and your key partners, spending more time listening in the perceptions of locals, connecting with local networks, building personal relationships with stakeholders here, and seeking their support. This is important, but it can also be very challenging. This is why properly working with related platforms is critical. Today, no matter which part of the world you are in, if you want to expand your business, it is inconceivable to not working with platforms. If you don't use them, you will be left far behind, simply because your competitors are using them. Now, technology-based platforms have become very essential for international cooperation. Technology platforms facilitate knowledge sharing, enable joint innovation, and foster efficient trade. With platforms, participants can scale their impact on a global level. A great example is Alibaba's Electronic World Trade Platform, EWTP. It helps SMEs engage in global trade by simplifying customs, logistics, and payments. Another example, I think people here know very well, is WeChat's global integration. Its international wallet features allows Chinese tourists to use WeChat Pay across the world. In Malaysia, you can see WeChat's QR code basically in every business establishment. Local merchants integrate with WeChat to attract Chinese consumers and travelers. But when it comes to finding complementary resources, business partners or sales channels, a B2B resource platform is even more important to look at. The company I represent now, TOJOY, is such a platform. At TOJOY's resource sharing platform, for example, we can help structure business in local, understandable, and workable lending model. We can introduce your business, both online and offline, to our 5 million registered local business owners across the country. We can help to select interested partners, and you can leverage and work with those partners and use their teams, use their funds, and use their relationship to land your business locally at a very cost-effective way. The real impact of using such a platform is that almost out of nowhere, your brand, your products, and services can emerge across the country with a network of experienced business operators across the country working with you. Every day we run about 50 online project roadshows in major cities across China to facilitate such relationship building and cooperative transactions. Now, having talked about in and with, let me come to the last but most important of all. A harmony-oriented approach means you must truly act for locals. Let me use Apple, which I have personal experience, to prove my point. Tim Cook's image in China is very positive. Grasping Chinese business philosophy and culture, Cook adopted the for China mentality, largely influenced by my advice a few years back. I think he's now fully on board with the concept of for China, even if he doesn't say it loudly. So what does for China mean? It means a lot. Now, for Apple, it has a few elements. One, of course, is for government. Cook maintains a close alignment with the Chinese top leaders and participate in high-level conferences like the World Internet Conference and the China Development Forum. So this shows his support for China. For Chinese customers, he often makes surprising visits to Apple stores in China, mingling with customers and taking selfies with them with bigger smiles. And I think his smile was genuine, not fake. Now, for social development is another four. Apple has quickly donated disaster relief funds for those disasters that hit China, and has shown a strong commitment to the charitable efforts, heavily investing in education and investor support. So what is the payoff for Apple? Of course, very well. China is iPhone's #1 market. If you want to make it big, you've got to groove with the local culture. This is what I want to say. And despite the US-China had such a long trade war, Apple weathered it very well. Although it could be a very easy target because iPhone is Apple's #1 market. But Apple weathered it very well due to his for China philosophy. So in summary, the gist of how, when I'm saying this, you want to make it big, you've got to groove with local cultures. Despite how things are done, you are already on the right path. Just as equally important is to find the right partner and, of course, team up with the local parties. The 8 innovative companies I brought with me today come from a variety of industries. But one thing they all have in common is that they are ready to be in here, to be with here, to be for here. All right, I know that I need to wrap up. And I like to say this or conclude by looking forward. As I stand here, a Chinese poem from Tang Dynasty comes to my mind. 无远近，万里皆为邻. In English, it translates as true friendship knows no distance. 1,000 miles apart, we are still neighbors. Real friendship transcends geographical barriers. When we share common ideals, distance doesn't stand in the way. I hope China, Malaysia, and the ASEAN countries will keep moving forward together and create a better life for our people together. Thank you so much. Thanks. Okay, I will sit here. 没有了啊，结束了吗？来了，再。So let her conclude.